This podcast serves Middle Tennessee every weekday morning, and it's made possible by member support. Learn how you can make a difference at WPLN.org/support.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's October 13th, 2025. And just a few days ago, an explosion rattled a large area of Middle Tennessee. 16 people are believed to be dead. Others were injured at an accident at an explosive plant on the Hickman-Humphreys County line, about 50 miles outside of Nashville. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. It always takes some time to figure out what happened in emergencies like Friday's explosion. But in that case, we were at least able to quickly learn where it happened. And I think for a lot of Middle Tennesseans, that discovery was a surprise. Hickman and Humphreys counties are both mostly associated with agriculture. They're quite rural, very spread out. Of course, maybe that is exactly the kind of landscape you want for a sprawling campus of buildings devoted to developing and testing a whole slew of products built around one central component, TNT. Accurate Energetic Systems makes devices for the mining and blasting industry, for commercial demolitions companies, even avalanche control. Ever seen one of those videos where crews set off a blast to clear out the snow from a mountainside before it can build up to become a destructively large and uncontrollable avalanche? They make stuff for doing that, and for imploding buildings and blasting rock at a quarry, or the seismic explosions oil companies use to test the size of underground deposits. And it seems like those industries were probably AES's focus for the first few decades of its experience. The company was founded in 1980, and it's not until 2002 that it started to compete for federal contracts. Around 2018, the firm began to do some serious business with the military. To date, they've won more than $100 million in contracts to make explosives for the U.S. War Department, as well as foreign militaries. They make the charges for warheads meant to take down airplanes, for armaments that are used to breach buildings, and they make mines. According to the AES website, the company is currently the so-called prime contractor producing the Claymore, a type of landmine that shoots fragments directionally towards its target when detonated. AES also manufactures a type of explosive you may have seen used in action movies, bricks of C4, aka plastic explosives, specifically the M112 demolition charge, which looks like a long gray rectangle that can fit in your hand, wrapped in shiny black mylar. In all, the AES facility is spread across 1,300 acres and 8 buildings, plus a lab and an outdoor testing range. Looking at satellite imagery, those buildings are all quite spread out from each other, which makes sense in a way that Friday really brought to light. You only want to have so much explosive material in one building, and you need to have places for people to run when things go wrong in their own department. Places to hide, to shelter and protect themselves. And a safety sheet that the company filed with federal regulators drives home the idea that at a factory like AES, there's not much you can do in the worst-case scenario. It warns against trying to put out any fires with water. That would only make things worse. It's a dry extinguishing powder or nothing. And the main instruction to staff is to just go, evacuate, take cover, put as much distance between people and that building as possible. Because each one of those structures is a chain reaction waiting to happen. And that is certainly evidenced by the reports that have come out of that area. Right away, people 40 miles away from the campus reported feeling the blast. We got an email from someone 60 miles away who believes he felt it too. That's much farther than the similar reports from Nashville's Christmas morning bombing. And that explosion sent up a fireball that some said rose as high as the Batman building. In just a few minutes, an update on the invasive carp that have plagued local waterways and one novel idea for what to do with them. That's coming up after the newscast, which will have more news about the AES blast and the community that is reeling from it.
You know how important WPLN News has been to you and your family, and you have seen how high-quality local journalism is necessary to a thriving community. you can ensure that this service stays strong and stays available to all of Nashville and Middle Tennessee. Join the Producers Circle with your gift of $100 or more each month and make the bold statement that you support the mission of a more informed and engaged community. Start your philanthropic journey with Nashville Public Radio today at WPLN.org.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Painful and painstaking work continues in the Bucksnort community, where a munitions explosion on Friday left 16 workers unaccounted for and feared dead. The disaster has commanded vast investigative resources from all levels of government and triggered strong emotions, even from officials who have worked through tragedies before. Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis has been choked up at several news briefings. He says counseling resources are a priority for victims' families, local students, and emergency personnel.
We've already taken plans to prepare to take care of our loved ones and our families even more.
The explosion investigation will be a slow and potentially dangerous process. That's the assessment from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The federal agency has a specialized team moving foot by foot across the half-mile blast site. A cause has not yet been determined. Tyra Cunningham is an assistant special agent in the Nashville office. She says the ATF is on a mission to serve the public.
That means not only finding out what happened here, but also ensuring that if criminal activity is involved, those responsible will be held accountable. And if it was accidental, that lessons have been learned to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again.
Bryce McCracken is on site from the ATF's National Center for Explosives Training and Research.
It's going to take time to get to that actual the facility where they were working with the explosive materials. And so once we get inside there, then we'll start looking at what's remaining, what is in that scene. The team will document every piece of evidence.
Teams are using rapid DNA equipment to help identify remains. Controlled detonations took place throughout the weekend at a site where explosives remain. On Sunday, leaders said they were confident that 16 workers were inside the building at the time of the blast and that there were no survivors. Special counseling resources will be available at schools in Humphreys and Hickman counties today. Local leaders say the company, Accurate Energetic Systems, is a major employer whose workers have been long woven into the community. It's also a region that's been struck before by tragedy, including unprecedented deadly flooding in 2021. State Representative Jody Barrett represents Hickman County.
This county has dealt with a lot of tragic loss like this, more than their fair share.
Longtime resident Linda Sutton, who knows AES employees, attended a vigil at Hurricane Chapel Free Will Baptist Church.
I just can't imagine it. It's hard. And I don't know how all these people are going to handle it, but we're all community and we're going to help each other. That's the way it's going to be.
Multiple vigils were held over the weekend, and more are expected this week. The munitions company has offered condolences to victims' families and says it is providing resources. A GoFundMe has been established. You can find the latest details now on our website, WPLN.org. Members of the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade are coming home to Fort Campbell soon. For 9 months, the Wings of Destiny Brigade participated in Operation Spartan Shield. That's the name for the military's ongoing effort to maintain a presence in the Middle East. A press release from the mission's headquarters in Kuwait says the unit will return to their friends and family in the coming weeks. They'll be replaced by a brigade from Fort Carson, Colorado. The second round of projects funded by Nashville's new transit tax have been announced. The capital improvements, totaling $104 million worth of changes, include new sidewalks, smart signals, safety upgrades, and expanded bus service. Sabrina Sussman, Metro's Choose How You Move program director, said that certain projects will be visible in the next few months.
Sidewalks and signals are the things that you're going to see first. And so you might notice on sidewalk construction, traffic cones and actual construction, signals are a little different. There's sort of two different pieces to it. So one, you may be looking for a change in the bright yellow actual signal, but what you may not see happening is some of the fiber being laid, cabinets off to the side being installed. And so you have to sort of look to make sure you're seeing some of those changes.
However, Sussman said other projects will take much longer, years even. Those involve major changes along Nashville's large corridors. Last year, Nashville voters approved a transit referendum which created dedicated transit funding for the city. The first round of projects from the new tax was announced in March. There are 3 Tennessee college football teams ranked in the nation's top 25, and all 3 moved higher this weekend. UT leads the way after a win over Arkansas and stands at number 11. The Vols will next face number 6-ranked Alabama. Vanderbilt, meanwhile, did not play, but still moved up 3 positions to number 17. And the University of Memphis is not far behind at number 22. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. Carp have increasingly become a nuisance in waterways across the country. A Southern Kentucky high school teacher and his students are using the invasive fish to feed injured raptors like bald eagles, vultures, and hawks. For the Appalachia Mid-South newsroom, WEKU's Sam Dick went off the beaten path to see how it's done.
Somerset Independent High School teacher Hank Jevitin steers his red pickup truck into the parking lot of a flea market near the Lake Cumberland Wildlife Refuge. His truck is pulling a trailer with a couple of old refrigerators and a freezer filled with carp.
Let's show you a big silver, and then I'll show you a big head. Come on down, guys.
Jevitin has just returned from an early morning drive from Kentucky Lake. It straddles Tennessee and Kentucky. He has 1,000 pounds of carp caught overnight in a fishing tournament. Carp won't bite on a traditional lure and hook. Instead, fishermen use a bow and arrow.
How about that?
Jevitin lifts one of the largest fish, about 40 pounds, over his head to smiles and applause from the crowd of dozens of students and volunteers.
Now that's a good size silver. On my guys who've been getting ready for this, don't worry, I got 1,000 pounds of fish. There is fish for everybody.
Jevitin and students from his engineering class put on work aprons and sturdy gloves. Under a tent, they've covered wood tables with blue plastic and set up an assembly line to fillet, trim, and package freezer bags of fish meat. Jevitin demonstrates the process.
Watch as you're cutting. Come in, separate the meat from the carcass the same way you did with the bluegill. Okay?
The carp meat will feed injured birds of prey that are in rehab at the Lake Cumberland Wildlife Refuge. The nonprofit is on a tight budget, and Executive Director Kimmy Sparkman appreciates the donation of fish food.
Bald eagles especially love fish. They are fishermen at heart. If you could give them a rabbit or a fish, most days they'll choose the fish. So Hank's program is perfect for us because it allows us to give these birds what they want, what they desire.
Specialist for invasive species at the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife praised Jevitin and his students for using carp as food for raptors because it solves 2 challenges. Carp are invasive in Kentucky and other southern states. They can dominate lakes by eating vast amounts of plant life that other fish species need. Larger carp can injure people by jumping and colliding with boats. Sparkman says the event also helps the refuge.
Hank is not only reducing our cost, he's taking invasive species out of the wild, and all the leftover parts, it's not wasted. That goes on to organic farmers for compost. So it's a full circle thing. Every part is used.
At school, Jevitin's engineering students are working to create a machine that will help separate all the bone from the meat in carp. Student Rylan Bradley says it's not your typical class.
It's very different. It's fun, it's hands-on. We're using our brain a lot to think of ways to automate the process.
Jevitin says he's proud of the feeding program.
2 months ago, this was a dream. A month ago, we went and got our first load of fish. And you know, any day you get to fish and then take that fish and freeze it and know that it's going to feed an eagle or an owl or a hawk in rehab, man, that's a good feeling.
He hopes to have another carp rodeo, as he calls it, in the spring.
We have been blessed with a large harvest of fish. Thanks again for all my students being here. I'm glad everyone is here. Have some fun.
Off the beaten path for the Appalachia Mid-South Newsroom, I'm Sam Dick.
Pictures of the rescued raptors and the students preparing carp meat can be seen on our website. We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nashvillager newsletter, too. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues at Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN.org/Nashvillager. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.